A promise that you'll do your best to follow my rules, that you'll do your best to never give me cause to hurt you again. And today, we're talking about Consequences by
Aletha?
Aleatha. Is that how you say it?
I think so. I would say Aletha.
I would say Aleatha or Aleatha Romig.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
asking the wrong person.
Yeah, I should have.
Okay, wait,
Well,
wait, wait. We got to do the short summary before we get in. Do you want me
oh,
to do the summary so we can see if I remember, or you to do the summary?
yeah, you do the summary and let's see. Because that's one thing I'm worried about is how much you're going to remember for this
Yeah.
book.
Okay. So my recollection of this book is that this man decides to marry this woman because there is a family feud that she is unaware of. So he wines and dines her, sort of tricks her into marrying him. Okay.
Okay.
I would call it a trick because he has an end
Oh,
goal,
100%.
obviously. Then, throughout their marriage, abuses her, just straight up abuses her, and then sets her up as if she tried to kill him.
So that's fairly accurate. That's
Okay.
fairly accurate. I would say a more accurate is a man kidnaps, holds hostage, and uses abuse, isolation, coercion, and manipulation to convince this woman that he's kidnapped and held hostage that she has fallen in love with him. And he ends up convincing her to marry him. And then later down the line, he ends up framing her for murder. So,
The first and only time I read this book, I just looked it up, was in 2015. So it's been 10 years.
oh wow.
Yeah. And I want to say I didn't look at what I read in 2015, but this was before I became a dark romance girly.
Yeah.
And I don't this, like, hit a lot of triggers for me, like, I couldn't read book 2, like, I was surprised that you continued with book 2, like, I struggled reading this book.
Yeah. So, I have
Do it, drop it all.
I hate this book and this series, and I didn't even like I DNF'd at I want it. Hold on, I'll give you the exact percentage where I DNF'd. I DNF'd the second book and subsequently the rest of the series at 53%. So like I gave it a good minute. And I'll tell you why. I read book 1, got to the end, and I'm like, what the hell?
Uh-huh.
What the hell? So what I wanted is for book 2 to be Claire getting her independence, her revenge, her, like getting her life back, etc., etc. So that's honestly why I read book 2. It was very like Sea of Ruin for me, where I only read forward so that I could cheer her on, not necessarily because I was enjoying the content.
Okay. I have no idea what happens in book 2.
Here, okay. All right, let's talk book 1. So, he goes to her place of work. He's been stalking her for
Uh-huh.
years. He has also manipulated the biggest events of her life. He the book does not directly come out and say it, but it is heavily implied that his organization, whatever, his family, is behind the death of her parents,
Mhm.
is behind him, or is behind his, oh my God, Jen, her first true love's, like dropping her and leaving out of the blue. He's the reason that she was able to get the meteorology degree in at the university. Like he has been manipulating pieces of her life her entire, like from the time she's, how old was she when we lost her parents? I think, I don't know,
Young
maybe
adult?
like an older teen, young adult, something like that. because Emily and John were already married at that point. So, yeah, so I guess it'd be like early 20s was when she lost her parents. And you find out, I don't know if you find out in book 1 or not, honestly. You know that there's some vendetta in book 1, I believe, but you don't find out why until book 2. And the reason why is because her grandfather
Mhm.
was part of the FBI investigation that ended up shutting down his grandfather's business. So he strikes out. He's been raised by his grandfather. His grandfather is exactly like he is. His dad actually worked with the FBI to get his grandfather's business shut down. So then you find out that Tony is possibly responsible for the death of his own parents because they turned against his grandfather.
Okay, so his grandfather. I knew it was a generational
Yeah,
vendetta.
yeah,
So his grandfather brainwashed him.
yes, yeah. So that's where like his vendetta comes from, and he actually kidnaps her and holds her hostage, not because he wants to fall in love with her, not because, I don't even think he intended to marry her. He just wanted to possess her and ruin her life because she's a piece of this vendetta. What ends up happening is she ends up navigating and compartmentalizing his rules, his emotions so well that he actually begins to develop respect for her. And then it develops into more as the months go on. So she has no access to the outside world, no internet, no email, no phone. She cannot access anything. Once she's accepted and followed his rules long enough, which I believe was around the 5-month mark. And this was after one beating, like brutal beating, and then one like a mild beating. And then plus like the sexual assault and
Mhm.
like rape throughout those months. So because she continues to show like strength and fortitude, and like she's able, I wouldn't call it manipulation on her part, she's just able to play the game,
Mhm.
and he's impressed by her ability to play the game that he's created. Now granted, he doesn't see it as a game, but like that's the best way I can describe it. So at around the 6-ish month mark, I think that was about when like she's getting a bit more freedom, so he's taking her to, I think their first outing was a symphony. So like she gets to go out to this beautiful symphony, they have this box, she gets this experience. She knows that if she steps one toe out of line, she's going to get beat within an inch of her life. So she's like being very, whatever, perfect. Here is what, and it's interesting because, and I think this is part of the reason why my brain is like spinning with it. So I read Dirty Ugly Toy by Kay Webster right before reading Consequences.
Okay.
Actually, I may have been listening to Dirty Ugly Toy while I was reading Consequences. And the premise isn't much different at the beginning. Like Dirty Ugly Toy, he's a billionaire. He kidnaps this woman off the streets. She's a drug addicted prostitute.
Prostitute.
And he essentially kidnaps her and holds her hostage in his house. And as I was reading Consequences, I am so upset by what is happening in this book while thoroughly enjoying what is happening in the other book. But it all boils down to, at the end of the day, like what consent is. And of course, like it was not consensual initially in Dirty Ugly Toy, but he also wasn't
Beating and
assaulting her.
raping her. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it was a very interesting dichotomy in my head where I'm like, okay, how can I justify this billionaire doing what he's doing and then be mad at this billionaire doing what he's doing? And here's what I have decided. Why consequences and truth? And I broke my rule and read the blurbs of the subsequent books in the series. You are taking abuse and dressing it up as being okay because it wears brand names and it has a lot of money. And that's what, like, he can treat her however he wants to because she gets to live this extravagant, luxurious lifestyle. And because she's shown him how to love, even though he manipulates her, abuses her, isolates her, all of the things, she ends up being okay with it and quote unquote falling in love with him because it offers her this other lifestyle. You cannot tell me if this had been some Joe Schmo who was decently good looking but had her in a basement instead of her own suite that people would like this book. He's whining and dining her. Okay, like,
I mean, we've read some things
yeah, but
where he
it always comes down to,
the cop dude, he didn't have money and he locked her in a cabin in the basement.
yeah, we hated it. It was stupid.
Yeah, but we didn't hate it because he didn't have money.
No, and that's true, but he also was, we didn't know it, but like he was fulfilling one of her fantasies and
Yeah.
not she was
Okay.
not like, I don't know.
So now you see why I think I don't like spousal abuse. I
It
think that's
wasn't
a
even like
thing.
in the beginning, the first time, the time he almost killed her, they weren't married.
Okay. Well, in my head, I contributed to spousal abuse, and I'm like, I just can't do that. I think I think motivation plays a key part. I would be
Mm,
okay with the locked in the basement if I knew that there was gonna be a happily ever after. With consequences, you don't know if there's gonna be I don't even know if they end up together, to be honest.
they do, and that's why I DNF'd it because
Seriously?
here's the thing. Not all, like, okay, if we had gone into book 2, at this point, he has caused her to be charged with attempted
Indicted?
murder. He's killed her old boyfriend out of just pettiness. Who they had both moved on. He'd killed her boyfriend of her college boyfriend when he showed up at some event that they were at. He caused her brother-in-law to lose his
I didn't even know she had
lawyer license.
siblings.
Yeah, she has a sister.
Oh,
He caused her brother-in-law to lose his license as a lawyer because the brother-in-law didn't accept the job offer that he was given. Like, he has systematically destroyed the biggest pieces of her life. Then she gets away from him. He drugs and rapes her in the second book. Now she has no recollection of this, and they still end up together. And the whole reason is because he was raised in such a mob mentality. He was never shown love, and he had to see his parents murdered. And, he grew up in this, like, this sad, tragic backstory or whatever. I don't give a flying fuck.
yeah.
You,
Just
like,
go.
well, I was just going to say, like, she wants to show him what love is and what trusting someone is and all of these things, and I'm sorry, like, he almost killed you.
Multiple
He
times.
almost killed you. You were in a coma for 2 weeks. You couldn't walk for almost a month. And
Here
I can
go on.
understand her, like, having this experience and marrying him anyway because he seems to turn a new leaf and she gets more freedoms and da 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 da. And she feels like, you know, she could love him and all the things. Well, then he shows her his true colors again. And he literally has her sent to a federal penitentiary. Okay, I said that wrong. And she still goes back to him in the series. Like that, there is nothing, there is literally nothing the author could do or have him do to change my mind.
Does he
And
even
that's,
love her?
yes, I do think he does. I think it starts as an obsession. I do think he ends up falling in love with her. I do think he has no idea how to show that. But but like fuck that. It's not our job to fix them. I don't care. Like I it it makes me so mad.
Motivation is key.
But none of our MMCs has ever beat their person ever. None of them.
That is true.
None of like no one has ever physically hurt any of our FMCs or MMCs if we're talking about an MM. That's never happened. The only thing I can even think that it gets close is when what book was that?
Addicted to you or addicted to pain or whatever.
No. No, because the MMs oh well, kind of, but not really.
I
No, it's
mean,
the
I thought they
one
beat her, don't they, when she's on the cross?
do they?
I don't remember. But
I
I thought
don't
that
even.
I think they did beat her.
Maybe. They
But
might
not
have.
not like consequences. Like
No, not like consequences.
not
No,
even close.
it was a non-consensual heavy BDSM scene, basically.
Uh, that we read together or you read?
I mean, that's what I'm comparing it to in Addicted to Pain.
Oh, yeah.
Because she was on the St. Andrew's Cross, all the things. So like
Yeah.
they
Well,
like
which
yeah,
one were you thinking?
it's the one he's they're on the wrong like they're opposite sides of gangs. He has a sister that's the head of the gang. He
Oh, oh,
forces
oh. Beautiful Fiend?
yes. Yeah. Yeah, where
Yeah,
he
but
forces her
he
to
doesn't do that. His little posse does.
no, he does. Oh, yeah, I forgot his posse beats her. No,
Yeah.
I'm talking about like the closest thing that we have where in an MMC abuses the FMC non-consensually and not like not sexually is Beautiful Fiend where he forces her it's sexual assault where he forces her to go down on him. And then I would say Sea of Ruin when the captain beats her because I forgot about that
Mhm.
until just now. But again, nothing to the extent. Not I mean
Yeah.
not even close
But
to the extent.
I think one of the things that makes them different though is that they have remorse for their actions
Yeah.
afterwards.
Well, and
And
they don't
consequences, there's
fucking
no remorse. And there's no
well, and there's
continuation
no
of it. Sorry.
right, yeah. Well, and he and the whole, "Hey, if you don't break my rules, I won't hurt you."
I'm telling you.
Dude, I can't. I can not deal with him.
Yeah.
And I do not understand how you can look at this MMC, see what he has done not only to her, but her
And be
entire
okay with it.
life, and be okay with them being together in the end. Like, I'm sorry. That would be like they're one of my favorite books is Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. Spoiler alert if you guys want to skip like the next 60 seconds. She ends up marrying this guy. He does a flip. Like they date, everything's great. He helps take care of her low or high needs sister. They fall in love. Then he flips the switch when they're married and like beats her, isolates her, gets her a puppy, ends up starving it to death when they're on their honeymoon because he didn't arrange care for it because she pissed him off. And the book ends by him being locked in the same room the puppy was and no one knows. So he dies of starvation, as he should. Like, that's what I was wanting in book 2. Like, where she goes back and she decimates him. And instead, he comes around with his good looks and his money and his charm and all of this other bullshit and manipulates her back to being with him. And he still drugs and rapes her in the second book, like without her knowledge. Like, once I got 53% into truth, and I'm like, is she setting this up for them to get back together? Because she ends up finding like the police reports from his parents' murder. And she's like, oh my God, like, this young Tony had to witness this. He came home and found his parents, dead and bloody and da 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 da. And I'm just like, how can you sit here and have that level of empathy for someone who not only almost killed you, killed other people in your life that were important to you, and also ruined the trajectory of your entire life, and you're okay with it
But does
because you
she
get to
know
have a
that?
private. Yes. By the point where I DNF'd, she 100% suspected that he had everything to do with Simon, everything to do with John and Emily, everything to do with her parents.
Okay. Now you can understand why it's a triggering book for me.
Like, this has no business being in
Romance.
romance. Like, it's
It needs to be
honestly like,
like a psychological thriller.
or erotic horror.
Yeah. Ooh,
Just
definitely erotic horror.
where I was trying to find what it's
Maybe an
classified.
erotic thriller.
Well, and the reason I struggle with even calling it, okay, so it's ranked on Amazon. It's ranked in enemies to lovers, kidnapping thrillers, and contemporary romance.
This is not a romance.
No, it's not a romance. And
Okay,
I think,
but I want to give the disclaimer. The first book is not a romance. That's not to say that the whole series, because if they get their HEA, because romance is classified as having an HEA, happily ever after. But I still wouldn't classify it as a romance.
no, I don't. You don't get to have like.
I would love to have a conversation with the author, like a positive conversation, like not anything negative towards her. I'm just like, how
What
did
were
you
you
navigate
thinking?
this headspace? Like,
Yeah,
what was the motivation behind this? Like, I would just love to pick her brain about it.
I,
I can't read.
I I'm
Yeah. I'm so glad I
I,
didn't reread it.
I'm glad you didn't. Like, it is. I got way more upset than I thought I was going to be. Like, getting halfway into truth and realizing like she goes back to him is so sad. Like, I think that's why I get so upset is and granted, like, we know when we read, like, we're like, it's not real life. But how many times have I talked about relating to characters, or like,
Mm-hmm.
you see your own story in characters and that kind of thing. And I'm like, this book I feel is so dangerous. And I think that's what upsets me so much. Like, if a woman who is stuck in an abusive relationship and like reads this and she's like, oh, well, this is like, he turns around and he treats her well and he takes her out and now she's allowed to have a couple of friends. Like, maybe I don't have it so bad. Like, I can't. I think this year, in my opinion, like, this series is dangerous. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there is no reason the author could give me that would validate the actions that he took and her staying with him after she knew what happened.
Unless she beat him and kept him locked up for 6 months and then he signs over all of her assets to where she's in power and control.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Well, and like I said, like, that's what I want. Like, I wanted it to be a Tamlin Rhysand situation. I wanted to hate him in book 1. I wanted her to go through hell, and then I wanted her to come out and be a rising phoenix, burn him down, and then go have a happily ever after with Harry. But that doesn't happen, and I am pissed about it.
Who's Harry? I don't want to know. It's okay.
The love interest in book 2.
Oh my god, there's a love triangle. I hate love triangles.
I don't like I would not be surprised if Tony kills him or tries to kill him, although she does kind of sort of make him promise that he will no longer hurt anybody because she was going to do an expose on him, and she's like, I'm going to do it. I won't release it unless something happens to one of my friends. And that's about as much as she was able to manipulate him.
Okay. Yeah, this book is just triggering for me. I don't ever want to read it again. I don't want to read anything like it, which is really saying something because we read some really graphic and violent things, but
Well,
I I think what you're right. It's not towards the main female character, and I think the motivation
mm,
plays it. I think motivation, at least for me,
yeah, yeah,
plays
yeah,
a
yeah.
key point because Tony's motivation was never about love. It was always
Right,
about vengeance.
possession. Yeah,
Where we have read some things where people start out that way, maybe,
yeah,
but
for sure.
it's not all, it doesn't dominate the whole book.
Right.
It's just a
Well,
portion.
and I think the other like difference is, hold on, I thought of it and then I lost it. It's gone.
It's gone. I do find it interesting some of the things that are common between the two of us about our two trigger books.
Mm.
But it's the main female character that we want to protect, even though
Oh,
we
for
read a
sure.
lot where they're stupid. I just read one last night where she was stupid,
Oh,
and I'm like, I'm not finishing this series.
that's the other reason why I didn't care for the book. And it's something that we've talked about a lot. Like your FMC has to be smart. And I think that's what also drew me to DNF. Claire managed to compartmentalize her mental health so well, and she learned to navigate his moods so well and read him so well that she survived, right? Like that is legitimately what happened. So for and this is where I get really fucking pissed, to take all of that strength, to take all of that knowledge, to take all of that experience over 2 years of abuse and manipulation and isolation and coercion, which is literally your blueprint for having someone be dependent on you, for her to get away from him, begin to build a life with other people who bring joy and laughter and light into her life, and for her to actively choose to go back, that it like I can't, like I cannot accept it. I
Yeah.
can't be okay with it. Like it's again, if it were some random man who had a 2-story house and a basement on half an acre of land in the neighborhood, I don't see her going back. But because she gets to live this opulent lifestyle and he's handsome, and she gets to be friends with all of these people and do this philanthropy work that she really enjoys, and you know da 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 da, we're supposed to be okay that she wants to go back.
Mm-mm. So, in hearing what you're saying, I'm justified in my feelings of this book, right?
100%.
Because I remember us talking and be like, did I just make this up because, I wasn't in it? Like, did I blow it out of proportion? I didn't, right? It's
Oh,
hard.
that's what I was gonna say. Is the insane thing about this is I am this upset and you were this upset and I'm like this outraged, and it's not even explicit.
Yeah,
Like
it's
it's
not.
not it doesn't go into detail. It doesn't
Mm-mm.
go into like exactly what he did. It is all fade, like kind of fade to black,
And
or it's like
implied.
and implied. Yeah. So like you don't even quote unquote see it happen, and I'm
Uh-uh.
still this
It's behind
mad.
closed doors. Yeah. That just goes to the type of writing that she can do. Like, she's a great writer to be able to invoke this
Yeah.
kind of emotion, even though we
Yeah.
don't like it, and not have nothing on page. I mean, I shouldn't
Yeah.
say nothing, vague on page. Yeah, it's and I'm pretty sure I 100% know I'd listened to it. I listened to
I
this
don't
book.
know. I wish I could have heard the version that you listened to because I could not listen to the narrator, and I
I
know you said
swear
you
to
don't
you,
understand what
it was a guy narrator that I listened to.
it may have been. I
'Cause
mean, you're
I
talking so
always when I
close.
think about it, I hear the story in a male's voice. So
The
I
other
don't
thing
know.
the other thing that I was going to say, and I forgot again.
Sorry. Pulled your
No, it's
hair.
okay. What did you just say?
I don't know what I just
Oh god. We should have named this podcast like the Two Squirrels and a Book podcast.
What did I say? We were
Oh.
talking about the writing style.
Oh, yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's one thing that drove me crazy, and it happened in book 2 too, is I couldn't stand the switching of the point of views without knowing who is talking at first. Like,
Mhm.
now you do dual point of view or multiple point of views, which is where we're at in both books actually. But you have like chapter and then it's like Claire and this is Claire's point of view and then chapter Tony and this is like there was none of that. You had to read like a few paragraphs before you realize whose point of view you're reading, which I found really annoying. So as far as like her writing style, that kind of drove me crazy. I also think that the first book at least could probably have been at least
Shorter.
200 pages less. Yeah, it's like a 538 page book and there's a lot of fluff as one especially once they're married. Like there's a lot of we went to this and we did this and we saw this and we, and I'm just like
Who
I don't
cares?
really
You
care.
could just said you had a night out on the town and be done.
Yeah. And then when I was reading the reviews because I was curious what other people were saying, like the brand dropping was a lot, but I actually think that goes really well with the story.
When you say brand, are you talking like Nike, Google? Like, what do you mean
No, like,
brand?
she would say, something along the lines of like, I'm watching Tony walk in and he's wearing a tailored Armani suit. And,
Oh, okay.
like that
I
kind
don't.
of stuff.
What the fuck cares what kind of suit he's wearing? He's wearing a
Well,
suit. That's it.
I think what the brand dropping does in both books is it just reiterates his position of power and money. I don't know why I'm so hot.
I don't know either. Because
I'm
it's
really hot
emotional. You're on the emotional
because
roller
I'm so
coaster.
pissed off. So, yeah, I hated this book.
Okay. I'm just glad I'm justified. Because that
Yeah,
was my
when
biggest concern, considering everything that we read now. I was like, oh, this is tame, but you just
yeah,
validated that it's not. And I
mm-mm,
need to stay away. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Even the end wasn't enough for me to even attempt to start the second one to know if she really goes to prison or gets off or if he's gonna drop the charges. I'm like, I didn't care. I was like, I cannot go through another book with this. I just can't.
I was so excited about that plot twist. We were on the plane. Like they're like, okay, if you can go into airplane mode and go, and we're getting ready to taxi. I'm like, fuck. So I'm like, okay, go off airplane mode as quick as I can. Go to Amazon, buy the book, download the book, and like we're taking off. I'm like, airplane mode
That's funny.
because I mean, I feel like we've read enough, we've talked enough that like we want our girls to get revenge when revenge is deserved. This would be like Aelin going back to Arabin and like them starting a life together.
Okay, don't hate me for the question that I'm about to ask.
Arabin is the man who kidnaps her at 8 and then trains her to be an assassin.
Oh, but there was. Oh, okay. I would not compare the two at all.
He abuses her. He beats her, granted to be an assassin, but still he beats the shit out of her. And he dresses her up, he gives her everything. She gets to live in this nice house as long as she's doing his bidding.
I would still take being with him than being with Tony. Because at least now I know how to kill you.
I want both of them to die. So I
Okay.
only get my wish on Arabic.
Okay, I
So
thought we had to pick one or the other. Okay.
no, definitely not.
Okay.
I
I'm
was just
glad that
trying
I
to think of
didn't.
like another. I mean, like I feel like I do that a lot. Like compare.
Yeah, no, that's good. Oh, man, this book just wigs me out.
Yeah, yeah. I like. I'm so.
I'm sorry that you had to sit through my torture. Okay.
You totally owe me one because Sea of Ruin was not this bad.
Oh my, are you saying that mine's worse than Sea of Ruin?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Because here's the difference. In Sea of Ruin,
At least
do all of those all of those things happen to her, but they aren't by our MMCs
okay.
9 times
Okay.
out of 10.
Okay. Fine. Oh, you tell me what you want me to read and I'll read it. Give me a year and I'll read it, okay?
I'm gonna find the fluffiest, sappiest, sweetest contemporary romance to send you,
Okay.
and you're gonna hate it.
Probably. I'll
Because
do it
I
for
feel like I
you.
need a cleanse after this.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. Any last words?
Don't read this. Don't read these books.
Yeah. They're not romance. It's just not.
They're not romance. This is not. This is so. Oh, I really, 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 truly believe to my core that this is a dangerous, dangerous series to call romance.
Mhm. And that's saying something for us.
That is that because again, when you're talking about stalker romances, serial killer romances, dark romances, you are going into it knowing you're going to read taboo, knowing you are going to read things that like you wouldn't be okay with in the normal world. Like you're going into it with this idea, this fantasy of taking, I mean, a lot of women that read these books, or maybe even a lot of people that read these books, read it to get control, to take that power back after their own awful experiences, right? So, in so many ways, like the dark romance, the serial killer romance, the stalker romance, all of those serve a purpose because we go into it knowing what to expect and knowing that it's fantasy. Not, obviously not fantasy, fantasy, but like fantasy.
Like fantastical elements.
Yes, yes. What makes this so dangerous is you go into it not knowing what he's going to do to her. And then the author writes it in a way that you end up feeling empathy for someone who is a grotesque human being. Like when we read like it, another good example is, and I can't remember what gang book it was. It may have been the one by Katie Robert, where they were talking about where the mom, I believe, was like beaten, raped by the other gang. But like the generation that you read about, they're like, we don't do this shit. Like that's where we draw, like, we don't do this shit.
That's addicted to pain.
Was it? Yeah, okay. That makes sense. So in most of the books that we read for the podcast as dark romance readers, whatever, there are lines that our MMCs don't cross. You know, like they're
Mhm.
not going to hurt women, they're not going to hurt innocent people, they're not going through and systematically destroying people's lives for a vendetta.
And not
and
just
and,
any vendetta, generational vendetta.
and yeah, yeah, where this he systematically ruined the trajectory of her entire life. Like 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 her entire life. It's not like he just kidnapped her and then like ruined that. From the time she was in her early 20s, he manipulated her boyfriend that she was in love with leaving. He manipulated her parents dying. He puppeted all of these things. How cheers to AR for writing this character, because there were certainly moments in book one where I was like, oh man, he's so sweet. Or like, oh my gosh, he like, I really do think he loves her. But you can't, I can't, once, especially once he drugged and raped her in book two, like that was the I shouldn't say the final straw, because I already was at a point where I didn't want them to be together. But once that happened, knowing that they were going to be together, once I read the blurbs in the subsequent books, like there was no coming back from
Hmm.
that. Like it's not, I don't care how much empathy you can pen for a character, there's no excuse for what he's done.
Why did he do that? Was he mad at her or?
I think it was just a power move, because
Oh,
what ended
okay.
up happening is he ends up getting into her building, and she agrees to have him come in. I believe they had a glass, like they shared a bottle of wine, and they were talking. Oh, it was about her expose. He came to her, came to the building, and he was like, "You are not printing this." Da, 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 da. And Claire stood her ground, and she's like, "Okay, I'll consent to not printing it, but I am going to tell the story. And if anything happens to anyone in my life, then we're going to publish the story." And I think, and that was the conversation. It was after that conversation that he did that. And I think it was a matter of power, control, and possession, which is his MO.
Okay.
And I thought she was going to end up getting pregnant, but at the point where I DNF'd, she didn't. But I don't know
Yeah,
if it
they don't
happens.
need a kid. He doesn't need a kid.
No.
Oh, it's heavy.
Yeah, like this book makes me want to like go on TikTok and rant, because I wholeheartedly believe that this is such a dangerous book.
Hmm. And there's like 5 books in the series.
There's 5 books, which is another reason like I wasn't 53%. I was probably like 30. I'm like, "What? He's already back in the picture. He's already found her. She's already started her new life. Like, what the hell could they talk about for 3 more books?" And once I realized that that they got back together, that was when I was done. And apparently, at the end of book two, she either gets kidnapped again or willingly goes with him, and it's set up as a kidnap, and she doesn't tell Emily that she's okay. And her
Oh,
sister, that's her sister, and her sister,
okay.
like they were very, very close. When everything came out about Tony, they had to come back, like they had to reconcile. Her husband lost his fucking job and was imprisoned for 3 years because of Tony. 2 years, 3 years, something like that.
So there's a big time jump from book 1 to book 2.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, you have some time in. I guess there is a bit of a time jump, like 14 months, 18 months, something to that effect. Because what ends up happening, she pleads no contest, which means that she's not accepting guilt, but she knows how it looks. So pleading not guilty and taking him to court wouldn't have made sense. It wouldn't have gone her way. He he offers her the option to go to an asylum to plead insanity. He had a facility lined up for her. She refused, and he did not think she would refuse. She pleads no contest, gets sentenced, I believe, 7 years to like a mid security female penitentiary. And the governor of Iowa, which is where she was charged, ends up getting diagnosed with like stage 4 pancreatic cancer or something. So he's retiring. So what he does is he ends up pardoning Claire, knowing she was never guilty to begin with. He ends up pardoning Claire under the radar. He doesn't announce it. He doesn't even tell the secretary that files the pardons. He hands her the stack of papers. She files it. Everything happens the way it's supposed to, but Tony doesn't find out that she was released until 2 weeks later because her representation from the trial didn't alert anybody and like snuck her out of the state. And so Simon, the college boyfriend she had, Claire had connected with his fiance, his recent fiance, and they had kind of bonded since she had been in jail. And she had taken over Simon's company and ended up sending a private jet to pick her up and get her to California. I was like, okay, this is awesome. Like, we're away from Tony. We've got the governor who's like gone behind his back. We've got the representation that went behind his back because she's a fucking badass. Jane Allison needs her own book and her own story because she's a fucking badass, and that's the only person I like in this goddamn series because she actually stood up for what was right. And yeah, and then Tony finds her, and everything goes to shit, and I'm mad
Yeah.
still. And I'm sweating. I'm so mad. Like, I am seriously like sweating so bad right now. I'm so upset.
That's crazy. Okay.
This is like, okay, so
I'm validated. That's all I care about,
you are
to be
100%.
honest. I was afraid that you were going to come by and be like, Misty, we've read worser shit than this. Like, I know that was 10 years ago, but this is not that bad.
I was I really went into this not knowing what to expect,
Same.
and I yeah, I would have been totally okay with this series if she ended up with somebody else. Like, I would have been totally fine reading the entire series if if it had flipped and had been revenge slash
Mm-hmm.
romance, because she ends up in a situationship with the fiance of Simon, her brother, and the two of them actually help her compile a bunch of information on, like, that's how they find out about the vendetta, that's how they find out about his parents, that's how they find out all of this happened. And they do so, and that's the other thing that I don't like, is they do so much to help her. Like, the Courtney and Brent from book 1, the Simmons, I know you don't remember. Brent is like Tony's number one guy, and they actually are slowly trying to get away from Tony because they ended up accidentally getting, as because Brent was representing Tony, the representation of Claire accidentally sent him 140 something page document depicting what Claire told them happened in their relationship. And once Brent and Courtney realized what had happened, they were starting to get away from Tony. So, like, all of these people are on her side. They have the means, they have the funds, they have the ability to help her get away from him. And she still goes back. And I just fucking can't. I have ranted about this book for almost an hour. This is so bad, and I'm sorry.
No, don't feel bad. Don't be sorry. I love it. I'm validated. I couldn't ask for anything more.
I'm gonna find the fluffiest fucking book ever, and you're gonna read it.
Okay. Send it my way. For you, I will do that.
It's gonna be like about a puppy or something.
Torture, okay? Alrighty. Are we
Okay,
ready to rate?
I guess. Can I give
Darkness.
negative stars? 5.
Yeah, 5. Even though, again, it's vague and
It's
not
not explicit.
explicit. It's just
Yeah.
spicy.
I mean, it really wasn't explicit there either, and none of
Mm-mm.
their scenes did it for me. I mean, I would say you would have to do a 2 or 3 just because it does happen a lot, but it's not explicit. It's not really even on page very much. It's implied a lot of the time, so I would say a 1 or a 2. I guess you would have to
Mm.
do a 2 because it's there.
Yeah, I think we have to do it too.
Yeah.
I was gonna look it up because we never remember our own
We never
shit.
remember.
This shouldn't surprise anybody. Where would that be at? Oh, I know, right? We'll just go because it's gonna make me sign in, and I don't want to sign in. I think whichever one says that there's actual sex. Do we remember which one that is?
No. I know we're all shocked.
What? We don't know our own shit? Blasphemy. Spicy. Okay. So 0 scenes, 1 to 2 scenes, 3 to 4 scenes. Min of 5 scenes is 3.
Okay. So I guess 3?
But the scenes aren't descriptive, so this is something. Let's see, 2 is lightly descriptive. I think 2. Even though
Oh,
there's
okay.
more scenes, I think because it's lightly descriptive, that fits better.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay. And then
So,
overall, oh wait, go.
sorry. No, I
No.
was just the average star rating for the over the series is a 4.26. And there's like almost 4,000 reviews per book. Which I mean isn't that many reviews in honest like especially for a book that's been out for 10 years, but still, like that like I just okay. Anyway, rating negative 500,000 stars.
I gave it 3 stars. And my review was I what did my review say? Let me go back. My review said, I have no idea how I feel about this book.
Okay, fine. If I were to rate book 1 based on the content of book 1, not knowing what happens in the series, I would concede to a 3 because the writing is very good. The character development, even though I don't like it, in Claire is incredible. The way she wrote that character, the way she wrote how like the mental fortitude, like the strength, and that I'm not going to start. And the fact that I immediately needed to read book 2, I will give it a 3, but only for those reasons. Like I still stand by negative 500,000 stars.
Yeah. I don't know why I gave it a 3, but I know I would never give it anything more because I don't want people to read this.
Yeah, I don't.
Even with my 3 points, if somebody asked me, I'd be like, this is not a book you want to read.
Yeah.
I would probably recommend As She's Told before I ever recommend this book, and we all know I hate that book. Because even though there's some shady shit in that, it does not compare to the shit and
That
consequences.
so that is fascinating because he beats I mean, it's consensual, but I mean, he treats her like,
A cat? Yeah.
well, a lot of things.
And a fucking horse? Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I would
honestly, I would never recommend As She's Told to anybody
no,
either, but
and the
if we're
writing
talking
style
about
is awful.
it's horrible. It is horrible. But I'm like, if you want some fucked up shit, read that, okay? And
Yeah,
if you
read that.
and then if you still want some fucked up shit, read Consequences. And I don't think people understand when they figure out who the author is because she writes some really good stuff. I read a couple other things by her. You look at the cover, you look at the blurb, like you don't realize what's in the pages until you're in the pages. And then when you're in the pages, it's too late. You can't watch that from your brain.
No. It
So it's
definitely
deceiving.
well, and I will say that I don't think it's intentionally deceiving. I think the book just came out before trigger and content warnings were really a thing because it was published in I believe 2000 between like 2010 2012. But if it were to be published today, the trigger list would be very long and it would be like non-consensual physical abuse by MMC on FMC, sexual abuse, rape, and assault from MMC on FMC, manipulation, coercion, isolation, psychological torment, psychological torture, like the list for that book would be would if it had had a content warning or a trigger list and had on it what was in that book, I don't think people would read it.
Mm-mm.
I or like yeah, I
Yeah,
don't understand.
it's in a class all by itself.
Yeah. Again, I think this should be classified as kidnapping thriller. Like, I would agree with that classification. Erotic horror, maybe. Thriller, even. Like, if you wanted to like frame it as a thriller, I could see that.
Even dark
But
thriller.
yeah, like yeah. But like to market this as a romance is diabolical.
Hmm. I would like to talk to somebody who's read the whole thing.
I would love to talk to somebody who has read the entire series. And I have considered reading the series mostly to pick it apart and see if she's able to change my mind. I haven't removed truth from my Kindle yet. But what stops me is honestly like my values. Like, I don't, just because he turns a new leaf or just because he changes who he is as a human, like, it doesn't erase all of the awful shit that he did.
Hmm.
And yeah, I don't know. I really don't. It would be interesting to see if I could read the full series and have another conversation to see if I have any other perspective. But I almost don't even want to because, again, I think it's dangerous.
I don't know if I could be talked into that,
I
but
wouldn't do
we
it to you.
but we could talk about it. I don't know if I
No,
could,
I
but
no, I wouldn't. I
mm,
wouldn't. It's not something that I would do. It's not something that I would like. Hey, let's buddy read this.
honestly, if we did that, I would probably just read the last book.
Yeah,
I've read the first one, I'll read the last one. You can fill me in on the middle. And even that would probably be we would have to like set some time because I would need time.
yeah. No, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. The only way I can think of like even being close to being okay is he gives her all the freedoms a normal person should have, never touches her in anger ever fucking again, doesn't ever manipulate her ever again, reinstates John's license and makes sure he has a fantastic position wherever the fuck he wants to go. There's like he would have to make up for so much, and I think that's what I struggle with is if I feel like if he saved her from something, did all of those things, and she goes back to him consensually, then I could at least be like, okay,
Oh, so it's actually a trilogy. Book 4 is the fourth novel of the series is told through the men in Claire Nicholas's life and fills in the gap of time that was only previously mentioned.
oh, really?
Yeah. So it is only 3 books. Although book 5 goes back to them. So maybe it's 4. I don't know. I think it's maybe just 3. Anyways. Any last words before you close us out? Besides, don't read this book. And if you have read the whole series, wait, you're doing the closeout. I'm not. Never mind.
So the author's last quote, like the last thing she says in the blurb on Amazon for book 5 is there's theirs, meaning Claire and Tony, theirs was a long, complicated story with a monster and a knight. What made their story unique was that these two players were the same person.
I'm still not reading it.
I'm I'm intrigued. I just I've already said it. Like, the only reason I just want to see how she does it. Like, that's
Yeah.
honestly what I would read it for, is I want to see how she does it. Because I don't know how you can evoke this much anger and absolute outrage and flip it.
Yeah. Time will tell. Time will tell.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
And that's the other thing too, like, there's so many other books I want to read,
Yeah.
you
Or
know?
need to finish reading.
Yeah, that's for you. I have done really
Me?
well finishing. It's
Yes,
so
you
funny, like,
have.
last year I struggled finishing anything, and, like, this year you're struggling finishing anything, so it's fine. We just, ebb and flow.
Balance each other.
Yep.
Okay.
Alright. Any last words?
Misty was validated.
Yeah,
It's as
Misty
worse
is
as she thought.
absolutely validated. Absolutely. I think what I wanna do is I wanna post it in one of our book Facebook groups and be like, "Okay, I just spent an hour ripping this book to pieces. Someone fight me."
Do it.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. We appreciate your listening so much. If you have read something that triggered you this way and you could spend an hour ranting, what was it? I want to know. I have never felt this way about a book before, so I would love to know what book you felt this way about. Tag us on Instagram at Bones of the Story, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us on the journey into the shadows of love, where dark romance stories come to light.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Bones of the Story as much as we did. If you did, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Your feedback means the world to us.
And to stay updated on all things dark romance, follow us on social media. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
We'd also love to hear from you. Share your thoughts, ideas, or even your own dark romance stories with us. Drop us a line at bonesofthestory@gmail.com.
Remember, our next tantalizing episode is just around the corner, so keep your hearts open and your senses sharp.
Until then, embrace the darkness and let the stories continue to stir your deepest desires.
This is Misty
And Jen,
signing off
from Bones of the Story.